So I watched Look Back in theaters, and it was really good. You should go watch it. Basically, quick, no spoiler recap, review, impressions. Extremely impressive animation, great soundtrack, well told story. Very short, maybe a little too short. Who's to say? I guess I am in this scenario. I am not actually super familiar with a lot of the author's works. I haven't read the story that this is adapting. I haven't read Chainsaw Man, or I've seen one episode of Chainsaw Man. Haven't read Fire Punch. Very unfamiliar. Have a general appreciation for his artistic flair from what I've seen, but I don't really know anything. I didn't really know anything about this movie going in, besides the fact that it was apparently really good. And I'm generally a little bit hesitant when it comes to movies about artists. I like them because they appeal to me as an artist, but I also can't help that feel they're often a little bit self-aggrandizing, just a wee bit, and they often tend to fall into this trap of glorifying the process of killing yourself for your art. I mean, it's a very romantic narrative, a classic tragedy, and a lot of them fall into that trap, and it's a trap that I think a lot of people just fall into in general. However, the older I've gotten and the more the time that's passed, I've really changed my view on that, and, life is, worth living for other reasons than drowning in drawings. And what I love about Look Back is that it actually reflects that viewpoint incredibly accurately. I think it is a really, really profound realization of what art means to us on a more fundamental level, what it means in our lives. Before I jump too much into more specific details, I want to say one particular detail of the visuals that really stood out to me was all the walking. Very much, it's clear that they took a lot of care in demonstrating the characters' emotions and personalities through the way that they move physically. There's a lot of extended sequences where you're just watching the characters move, the most iconic of which, of course, is when Fujino's skipping down for various reasons, and she's really happy, and you can see the emotions coming out. Visually, the overall style, and also that element of having a lot of emphasis on the physical motions, they're walking and running, communicating the characters, felt very reminiscent of The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. That specific movie was like in the back of my mind when I was watching it. I was like, hey, this has a similar sense of artistic philosophy in terms of how it's expressing itself through the animation. Getting into the more specific element of the narrative, which I guess spoilers here. If you want to go see it if you can. Hopefully there's something screening near you, or you'll have to wait, which sucks. I'm sorry. The thing that I like about it is that all of the art of the characters, they're sinking their lives into these arts. It's always very closely linked to communication and connection or relationships. What motivates Kiyomoto to come out of her room is Fujino's art. Fujino communicates to her through art, and that is how they form this connection. And I feel like that's really, a very timeless truth. A lot of people, I think, can think of a time when something they experienced, some artistic work that they experienced motivated them to make a change or make a choice or something, or self-reflect. It's because art is fundamentally a method of communication. That's what it's about. Either that's communication with yourself or with others, and they always keep it connected to that detail. As she sinks into this world of art, it's because of her relationship with this other person. Even though she doesn't know them directly, they're communicating with each other through their art. And then they form this actual bond, this real relationship. And like I said, she gets out of her room because of the art. it's very consistent in what I feel like it's trying to say, or even the montage at the end where you get this big moment where it's what are you doing this for? Why would you sink yourself into this art? And what do we get that follows? A montage of Fujino's moments with Kiyomoto together. At the end of the day, it's about the relationship, it's about the people in your lives. It's not just about throwing everything away to be the best, to be at the top of the ranking, or to be successful or famous. It's really about communicating with someone. And I think that element of the story is really beautiful. And the way that through art and through this artistic communication, we can envision a better world. We can push for what we want to see. Even in this mirage of like a fantasy where things turn out okay, or in a push for someone to improve themselves and experience the world. The more that I think about the movie, the more I feel like it has such a nuanced and really, really sweet depiction of art. And, in the tragedy as well, finding a way to cope with tragedy. There's definitely, I'm sure people have talked about it plenty. I haven't really read any writings on the movie or anything yet, so this is very much just surface level impressions and first thoughts. But there was clearly a parallel between the axe attack in this movie and the tragic KyoAni arson attack, and I just think of it from like both an in-movie level and then on a more metatextual level, the way that we use art to cope with tragedy and to try and understand it and try and make it fit into our lives somehow, because it's very difficult to grapple with that. And I think art is an incredibly significant part of how we find ways to do that. So yeah, I was extremely impressed. I thought it was beautiful. Really, the only thing is it breezes by so quickly. I would have loved to spend a little bit more time with Fujino and Kiyomoto, because we get such a brief glimpse of their lives, especially in the time period when they're working together and sort of their career is blossoming. I think it would have been there could have been some opportunities to explore the characters. I can't speak to whether that would be really divulging from what it's adapting does. I will say this is my addendum to my general story thoughts and everything is they play an interview with the director and the voice actors after the movie. It's really interesting. I'm pretty sure they probably did it because the movie is such an unusual runtime that they were trying to bring it up to a little closer to 80 minutes. But I have to say I don't like this practice, and I don't really want to see it again. But the thing is, knowing my curiosity, I will always sit through it if it's there. If anything, I'd prefer it to be before the movie and talk a little bit more vaguely. I just find that having that right after a movie, especially a movie like this that's incredibly emotional, there's 2 minutes, there's like a minute or two of credits, and then they cut to this interview, and it's like I'm still trying to process what happened. And in a way, it's almost to me like a magician doing a trick for you and then immediately revealing the methodology by which they deceived you. Not to be that harsh with the terminology, but when you're so invested in this world that they've established and it feels really real, it's nice to be able to reflect on that from that lens before you start thinking about the actual technical process behind what you experienced. So that's just a brief small little gripe I have, not even with the movie, just the way that it's presented. And surely didn't help that there was a really loud Bollywood movie in the theater next to us. It was bleeding through the walls a little bit. But yeah, I really would like to see this movie again in the future. I think I will watch it again in the future. It was very motivating, and I say this because, again, I keep repeating the same fact, but I just love the way that it's communicated, is having this movie that makes me feel so creatively inspired and motivated, but also makes me feel motivated to spend more time on the relationships in my life. And the fact that, like, those lead into each other. If you've experienced more of life, that makes your art better. That makes your work better. That's another scene earlier when they're working on their manga and developing, and it shows this side by side of them going through real experiences, real lived experiences, going to the aquarium, and that translates into this manga about the shark guy or whatever. Like, how important it is to live your life, because that's what's going to inform you as an artist and give you something meaningful to say to other people about the world around you. So yeah, it gave me the desire, the burning energy to be more creative and work, but also to want to go out and experience things and spend time with the people I care about, which is, I think, very, very sweet.